Good evening, ladies. Welcome, gentlemen. My name is Sissy Griffin Blue. I am the president of Kershaw County Republican Women's Club, and this is our meeting for the month of March, and our meeting that celebrates women. Although, in all honesty, every meeting that we have celebrates women. Yes. To be honest with you, because that's what we are. Okay, so we are going to have the invocation, and I'm going to do that this week. Henry gave me this lovely little book of prayers. And although I'm going to take the word Senate out, I found one that fit very well for the particular time frame in life that we are at this moment. Job 34:4. As the book of Job instructs us, let us choose what is right. Let us determine among ourselves what is good. Please pray with me. Holy and gracious God, we call upon ye this day to bestow a general special blessing upon each lady here. Allow us, your servants, each one of us, to trust you wholly and to have you guide us in our work. And as we indeed labor for good for the people of South Carolina, and especially Kershaw County, may we determine the very best and most meaningful means and ways to resolve the issues that are before us. Moreover, Lord, we further ask that you will likewise guide and lead us and our leaders as well. These things we humbly ask. In the name of your wondrous name, dear Lord, amen. Amen. That prayer was done on Wednesday, January the 22nd of last year. Now we will have the Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Tim Webb will lead us in that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And now we will have the Republican Creed. It will be led by Amanda Uden, who is the Kershaw County GOP Chairwoman.
Before I start, does anyone need a copy? Anybody else?
Yeah, Amanda.
Thank you.
South Carolina.
I do not choose to be a common man. It is my right to be uncommon. If I seek opportunity, not security, I want to take the calculated risk to dream and build, to fail and to succeed. I refuse to barter incentives for gold. I prefer the challenges of life to guarantee security, the thrill of fulfillment to the stale calm of utopia. I will not trade freedom for benevolence, nor my dignity for a handout. I will never cower before any master save my God. It is my heritage to stand erect, proud, and unafraid, to think and act for myself, enjoy the benefits of my creation, to face the whole world boldly say, I am a free American. Thank you, Ms. Uden. As I just introduced, we have Amanda Uden, who's Kershaw County GOP Chair. We have several other distinguished guests with us this evening, who are the main reason that we're all here tonight. We have Susan Holly. She is the mayor of Bethune, and her story is so interesting. We have Mayor Rosalie Privet. She is hometown girl dying good in Patrick. And we have Melissa Evans. She went from town council to mayor of Elgin. And we have Senator Henry Gustafson. 27. Now, I need someone to give me a motion to adopt the agenda.
I move that we adopt the agenda as written.
Henry? And Sandy seconds it? All right, the minutes were mailed out, that's why they're not up there. Does anybody have a problem with the minutes as they were written and sent out? No one has a problem, so can I have somebody give me a motion to accept the minutes from last meeting?
I make the motion to accept the minutes as written at the last meeting.
That would be Janice Caldwell. Do I get a second? That would be Belinda Webb. All right. Now Sandy Hart will give us the treasurer's report.
This is February, last meeting, is $1,453.59. We had 2 debit card transactions of $73.49 for the flagpole, and it was a gift from 6 fans. And a debit card transaction of $55, and excludes a guest pour.
Yes, I pay for guests here.
Here.
Yes.
Okay, got you. All right, and the bank fee was $6.99. March deposit on 22nd was $75, okay? And then the total come to $1,393.11.
That's the current balance.
That's our current balance is today.
Thank you.
I didn't receive any money from anybody. I'll be taking it anytime you want.
Okay. We do take donations.
I never do take it.
Before we get started with the ladies, as I had told Mr. Webb, in November we do our Christmas party. We do not meet in December. There's just too much going on in our lives. So each year we will select a veteran amongst us, and we will have them come and speak with us. I found one who fit this month perfectly. He was in Vietnam when we withdrew from Vietnam 50 years ago this month. Mr. Tommy Webb.
Thank you. I'm supposed to show off a little bit and tell about where I've been, what's happened to me, and what I think. I got a poem to kind of start it with. Oh, first, you get to look at my uniform. This is what we wore back then in this country. When we got into Vietnam, we got jungle fatigues, much roomier and more pleasant in the hot, humid circumstances. These old boots are actually the originals from 1966 when I was drafted. Okay, apparently I'm not talking loud enough. Is that coming through pretty good?
It's not on.
No.
Turn it on.
Says on.
That's as if you want me to do
Anybody
something.
hear me out there?
Yes. Now.
That's better?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go from here.
Okay.
These are my original boots from 1966. Got my name and serial number in it.
Wow.
They sat in the attic for 50 years, and then I went looking and I found stuff. So I'll start this out with a poem written called The American Dream, and I think that is self-ownership and owning property and not having to rent it from the government. A little bit of American Indian in the family. So Grandma said, I'm not sure that it's all right, whichever way. But it flavors this poem. This is really not me, but it's kind of general. The American Dream. Grandpa said his name was pride, with boldness, never shame, with a claim to the family's Cherokee side, and I should be the same. So how could I not volunteer and march away in dread and fear for my country's war in Vietnam, my youthful 18th year? Well, I survived back home alive with a thing or two I learned, how freedom doesn't always thrive. There's a time it must be earned. My home is now a castle, though, with castle grounds all around and everything I own. But there's no bridge and moat as yet, just a homemade garden gate for me to open when I please and close when it's too late. And who can blame us for the fence against some nosy nibbling habits and the longbow leaning by the door for moors and little rabbits? Consider then how castle walls are made of freedoms fit so well. Their anchored in this sacred soil where patriots fought and fell. The duty now must pass to us to practice being free, to be a glowing candle for someone else to see. Then stand upon the cornerstone our moral laws are written on, where mine is mine and yours is yours and not much in between, for it makes your home a castle and you the king and queen. So please be ever watchful of the rude and really wrathful. They'll fill the laws with wicked flaws, but ours alone is ours to own, and a shack is still a castle. It's the American dream. So it's not about me. It's not about me exactly, because I didn't volunteer. I was drafted. 1966. I really didn't want to go. I was a little scared. You know, there was a war going on. But I did volunteer to stay in this country instead of running off to Canada and take my chances and got drafted. It's one of the best things that happened to me. Got out to see the world and meet different kind of people and learned a whole lot. And there's something, I believe in the domino theory. That is, one country after the other would fall to communism until the United States stood alone. Nobody in the world but communists and us. So that's the domino theory, and I believed in it, and I still believe in it. And I think if you look around, you can see it has come to pass. There's socialism everywhere. But there's something that a soldier didn't want to hear. He didn't want to hear somebody yell loudly, "They're inside the perimeter." And I think they are. They're inside the perimeter. They're here. And we got to, I don't know how we're going to cope with it, but you have to try. You have to keep going. So I spent a lot of time behind concertina wire in Vietnam. Only got out a little bit to slog through some rice paddies. I had a talent. I could fix radios, so it kept me out of trouble. But it's you learn things through life, and government is like a machine, and the military is like a machine. It has all its different little parts that have to work together to make things happen. And we did things in Vietnam that was probably good and right. Some mistakes. The news, of course, was a big mistake, and the UN was like a spy in our midst that transferred the information from us to the enemy, because the UN was involved in it. There were foreign troops there. Australians were there, and the South Korean troops were there. So the UN was there. And when we did something or had something planned, they leaked it to the other side. So the John Birch Society, which I'm a member of, says we should get out of the UN and get the UN out of the U.S. Spies and lizards and snakes. I did most of my work fixing radios in the day and reinforced the perimeter at night. Could see things coming over this way and then going back that way, and explosions and machine gun fire. It was all very exciting for a young fellow in his early 20s. And then we had Tet, the Chinese New Year, and things changed a lot. I had spent time on the perimeter as a reinforcement for the perimeter guard, but it got to be quite a habit after the Tet Offensive, even though they never struck our part of the perimeter with ground forces. But let me tell you a little bit about Tet. We had a stage in our company area outside, just a small stage and a hillside where you could sit and see the stage. Once in a while we'd have some entertainment, a movie or a traveling group. And this particular night we had some young fellows that were musicians, and at least one pretty lady, very pretty lady, that got up and sang and danced. Some of our guys got up and danced with her on the stage. They did the twist like they did last summer. And so it went on for a while, very enjoyable. And then about midnight, they went across the big airfield to the other side to a better place to stay, a little hotel over there. About midnight, and then about 2 o'clock in the morning, all hell broke loose. Tet Offensive started, and the ammo dump was on the other side, and it blew up like an atomic bomb. Two tremendous explosions, quite a shockwave. Some of the troop was killed, including that pretty lady. So what went wrong in Vietnam? The lefty news, always bad news is something North Vietnam and got her picture taken, got it in the paper, got circulated worldwide while she was standing with an anti-aircraft crew. It had a big gun, and Jane Fonda right there was the North Vietnamese friendly. You know, how could she ever even come back to this country? Those people were shooting down her airplanes. She was buttering them up a little bit, trying to promote herself. There was a lot of contention during that era. There's one thing that really bugged me. They had a picture of a South Vietnamese colonel with a pistol pointing at a prisoner's head. And this was the day after the Tet Offensive started. And the camera clicked just as he pulled the trigger, and the prisoner grimaced, was dead. There's something called half-truth is a whole lie. Jesse Jackson said that, and I agree with him on that. Half-truth is a whole lie. And that's what the news does to us even now. So they didn't tell you the rest of the story. Oh, that was played like, oh, the wicked people, you know, killing these poor little Vietnamese communists. But the truth of the rest of that story is that his family had been wiped out. And that's what happens in places like that. They don't target just the soldiers. This colonel in particular, they went after his family. Terrorism. And then there's this other thing that was bad. It should have been reported, but it could have been done a little bit better. A lot of things about bad events could have been better. It's called the My Lai incident. I was in the Marical Division. I didn't get out a whole lot, but my group, a little further north of us, were sent to destroy a village. A general gave a wink and a nod. Sometimes you couldn't keep a village pacified. We would go in and give them medicine, take care of them, some food, some candy for the kids. And then the next day when we were gone, the Viet Cong would be there, taking their food, taking their young people, impressing them into the communist service. So we didn't have enough people there to protect these villages, to pacify them. So the Vietnamese were caught between us and them, us and them, us and them. And our people were frustrated, so this general gave a wink and a nod, and Lieutenant Calley was the guy on the ground who orchestrated the massacre at My Lai. And it's like something out of a movie from World War II where the Nazis would shoot people in a ditch. That's what they were doing. They were killing men, women, and children, and terribly mistreating the women and girls. I won't even say that word, but our guys, people that you might have known, you hang out with bad company, no telling what you'll do. So the devil was on the ground doing these dreadful things, and an angel flew over in a helicopter. And his name was Hugh Thompson. He landed his helicopter between our forces and what was left of the village. And he told his door gunner, if our guys try to get by you, shoot them. So he got out and he went over and talked to Lieutenant Calley, the one that was in charge of this massacre. Said, this is going to end right here now. It took a lot of courage to do that. They could have killed him and blown that helicopter up and told a different story. But, and of course, the Army looks after its own higher-ups, and so they would have charged our guy with treason or dereliction of duties, no telling what. It would have been a court-martial. But some of the people on the ground that were involved in it didn't like what was going on, so they turned to state's evidence and got him off the hook. And got the general in trouble, and Calley ended up in prison for a little bit, not nearly enough. So these are our people that can do bad things. But Hugh Thompson is kind of my hero. One guy that did what he had to do. Someone later on asked him about that. How could he do what he did? And he said, I could never have looked my mama in the eyes again if I didn't do what I did. Still breaks me up. So I stand on the corner, one little guy doing something that doesn't amount to anything, holding up signs. What can I do? It seems to be human nature to have stage fright. It's hard to get anybody else to do anything like that. If we flooded the streets with people, thousands of people, persistently, when these got tired, others took their place, it would make a big difference. We could take our country back. But it doesn't seem like it's happening. Anyway, that's the end of most of what I had to say, but I got one more poem, may I?
Sure.
This is called Good Clay, I Hope. I shall have been good clay, I hope. Good clay, I hope, well fired. Shape my harsh and worldly heat these dusty blocks require. And if I nestle in with others and jostle into place, and they hem me in and hold me up, I'll be added to the base. We'll be building, always building, gently by design, to coax this earthly clay of ours to be the better kind. And you should hear the workers' words, the words they like to say, the words they say the carpenter said along the King's Highway. Take up your lumber and follow me, we're adding on to eternity. And all these precious travelers, the stone and mortar and sand, the load they haul is mostly souls to fill the promised land. Now time is short, as it should be, that we might let our lives go free and give them to the joy of dangerous chores and such, and not despair of losing or leaving all that much. And if it happens, good clay and all, the best of clay well fired, should I hang my head in shame for pride, for a lusty pride, for a life that's been inspired? Not a chance, not a chance at all. If in years going by and eons passed away, if I convince a few old friends, we'll come back to play. We'll slip across the timeless waters, the expanse no man has seen, and have some fun haunting here when we were young and green. We'll visit this and visit that. They'll call their dog and scare their cat. But I'll be searching, 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 searching back through fate for a line of little squares still holding up their weight. I'll run my fingers where they fit and find the only one that's it, and where my hand will come to rest, where my hand will be, with a misty eye and a wispy smile. This little brick was me. The shall be good clay, I hope, good clay, I hope for fire.
Do what you do.
Well, I invite you all, if we're more safe, once in a great while, get a middle finger. That's the worst of it. Most of the time, it's pats on the back. Police that stop to give me some cold water in hot weather, and people that thank me for what I'm doing.
Well, we got a couple of pictures of him here. And we appreciate all that you've done and all that you will do. And continues to do. Yes, Tom. Yay.
I got to go and meet a new woman.
Let us not stop that.
Maybe we're going to join the John Berkeley family. See y'all.
All right. Now for the main event. March is Women's History Month. I really love women in the past. They've done great things for us, but their time has come and gone. Let's celebrate the women who are amongst us now, who are doing the things that our grandchildren will talk about later. So we are going to have a little town hall with a few mayors and a senator, and I have asked Ms. Kristen Hoff to be our moderator this evening. You can't ask for any more elegant than that. Come right up, Kristen, and the show is now yours.
All right. Thank you. How's everybody? Thank you, Sissy, for always. I'm happy to get on the microphone, but I'm also pretty loud. So tell me, can everybody hear? And then we can grab the mic if need be. Sissy, thank you for your graciousness, your friendship. I appreciate everything that you do. I appreciate all that you are doing in this room. Many of you I have known from working at the radio station to the Arts Center to my even little step into the foray in the political world, and I appreciate your honesty and your integrity. And those things I think are paramount in this business, and I think we all are still a little bit better when we work together. So thank you for the invitation, and I'm delighted to be with these wonderful women tonight to just talk a little bit about leadership and what makes things work and maybe not work, right? We'll just have a little candid conversation. I will introduce everybody in just a minute. We'll bring everybody up and have a little Q&A. quotes, because I love a quote. If you follow me on Facebook, I don't do as much as I used to do, but I was always one to throw up a little music quote but I thought I'd keep it a little light, right? So we're going to start with Dolly Parton. Who can go? I mean, you got to love Dolly, no matter what side of anything you're on, right? If your actions create a legacy that inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. And I know for a fact we've got some excellent leaders in this room. So let me start off and introduce our esteemed panel for tonight. We'll start over in Elgin. And Elgin is booming, is it not booming? So, Melissa, do you know one of my best friends was Drew Moak, still is Drew Moak, that owned Hammy's Barbecue. How many people ate Hammy's Barbecue over the years, right? We still miss it, right? So, of course, Elgin started off when everybody just remembered Hammy's Barbecue, and now it's a whole different ballgame thanks to the... Oh, that's right, he is your cousin, isn't he? That's a small town. I love it, I love it. So Melissa Emmons is the mayor of Elgin, as Sissy referred to earlier. She was born and raised there. She graduated from Lugoff Elgin, attended Midlands Technical College, which is where I work now as part of Harbison Theater. Also attended American Bankers Association and Francis Marion University. She has a background in finance, so she's your numbers lady. She was the bookkeeper at Blaney Elementary School, married 35 years to Cliff. Cliff seems like a nice guy, right? 2 daughters, Liz and Emily. She attends Radiate Church. She served on Elgin Town Council for 8 years and has served as the mayor of Elgin since 2015. So please give a warm welcome for Melissa Emmons. And if you'll just come up, you want to come up and you want them to sit up here with me? Oh, okay, everybody come stand. We're all standing. We can get our steps in. All right, thank you, Melissa. And next we have with us our mayor from Bethune, another town that has gone gangbusters. Of course, I remember when being at the radio station and going up there for the parade and things like that, and what you have done over there is amazing, Susan. So originally also from Bethune, how great is that? Fathers, family, grandparents, great-grandparents all from Bethune, home of the Wildcats. Came from a family of public servants and law enforcement. She also attended Francis Marion, Florence Darlington Technical College, and USC School of Law as doing paralegal work. She's married to her high school sweetheart, Jeff Holly. They have 1 daughter. Since high school graduation, she did live away from Bethune, but she returned to come back to care for her parents, which is also something very important. She was elected to Bethune Town Council in March of 2021 by a special election to fill a vacated seat. So those of you who are interested, these opportunities come up and you have to take them when they come up, right? She was elected mayor in November of 2021 over the incumbent by more than 2 to 1. So welcome the mayor of Bethune, Susan. All right, and now the mayor of Patrick, who I had not had the pleasure of meeting until earlier tonight, so that's a joy. Nice to see you. This is Rosalie Privet. She was elected in 2000, is that correct? Yes. And you were a write-in candidate in 2013. That's amazing. And has been the mayor. So she attended Chesterfield County Public School while working full-time, attending classes full-time, also graduated from Coker College with a BS in accounting. We got all kinds of smart number people. I'm gonna call y'all. That's not my well, I ended up learning to do budgets real well, but that was my weakness at one point. She has over 20 years of alcohol, drug work experience within the 301 system and 14 years of work experience with Lee Correctional Institution. So important to do that type of work and try to help these folks because they're part of the system and we have to hopefully rehabilitate or get them to a place that they can come back and do some good. She also does in-kind grant writing for the town of Patrick and helps Patrick with grants for their for all the municipality work. So welcome, Mayor of Patrick. And then to my left is our senator, of course most of y'all know Kimry. She's the senator for District 27. That includes Kershaw, Chesterfield, and Lancaster counties. She's from Columbia, but she moved to Canada many years ago with her husband Todd, who I have worked with over at the Art Center. They have 3 children. She's a graduate of Newberry College, lifelong community advocate and leader, loves community theater, traveling, and she beat Vincent and Shaheen in 2020. Democrats held that seat for over 100 years, so that was a big deal. So Senator Henry Gustafson.
Gustafson.
Okay. So I think what I was talking to the ladies, again, celebrate Women's History Month and the accomplishment of women and those men that are here. The other quote I was going to share with you before we chat a little bit was, hey, if they don't give you a seat at the table, what? Bring a folding chair. So I bet you like that, Janet? So we might not have folding chairs, but we are standing tonight to just talk a little bit about leadership style, what it means to represent your area. And I'm gonna start out with Mayor Patrick. And let's talk a little bit about how, first of all, what's the population of Patrick? I'm just curious.
There's 266 at this time.
Wow. So tiny.
Tiny, very small. But small town, I do a lot of grant writing, trying to stretch our budget, make it work, and if I could collect everyone back to 2000, when I first took office, I had a trash driver who told me on the telephone a few days after I was elected, he said, I refuse to work for a female mayor. The next day, the trash had to be picked up. So, I go down there, get on the trash truck, drive it myself, get the trash picked up. And, it took about 2 extra hours, cause everybody I went to the house, they wanted to know, this is the first time our mayor's ever picked up trash. And I continued doing that for a whole month, waiting to get the right driver for that truck. So, in our little town, if you have to pull up to the plate, roll your sleeves up and get the job done.
Absolutely.
So, that's the way it's done.
Good for you. That's a great example of leading by example and making sure they understand that you are just as committed to making everything work. So
And every bit of that was in kind to the town as well.
good for you. Well, let's talk a little bit about Bethune and Elgin, because both of you guys, it's a different landscape. I moved here in 1983. I guess my father was an engineer with DuPont, which is how I ended up here. And I said, I'm not ever staying in this town. I'm going to New York City or something so exciting, right? And here I am with 2 children and couldn't be any happier to be here. But it was a different landscape, because I grew up in, and let's talk about this first, Melissa, because I think this is what we all want, is just good, candid conversation. Like, it was Lugoff, Camden, it was sort of very, Lugoff, Elgin, were over here, we were over here, nobody wanted to communicate, anybody wanted to fuss. Thank you, yeah. And being a kid that had lived a lot of other places as a DuPont kid, that didn't make any sense to me, And of course, we actually wanted to date all the guys from Lugoff and Elgin, and then that made everybody mad in Camden. But anyway, how do you feel the landscape is now in terms of all of y'all working together and then the growth that you guys are seeing in Elgin?
Well, it's changed drastically, of course, through the rats, I graduated from Elgin, so lived that most of my life, but also, because we were on the far end of the county, we also call ourselves the red-headed stepchild of Kershaw County, because we seemed to not be able to get the attention that we needed. With, the growth has been coming for quite some time. We're at the back door of Richland County, and they're spilling over quicker than we can accommodate them. So now, we're at the largest growing portion of the county, the West Water
that getting trickier or to balance those nuances of, because like you said, not only are you getting spillover from Richland County, but you're probably getting some spillover from this side too.
The housing market is crazy right now. There are houses popping up everywhere, and of course, with that comes a challenge. Transportation has always been an issue, but now it's at a point where we've gotta do something. The turn signals, of course, helped a little bit, but that was just a small little piece to this puzzle, because even though the majority of the residential development is not taking place in town, it's directly surrounding us. And they're coming through our town to commute, whether it's going to school, to shop, to work, whatever that may be. So we're feeling the pressure from that. But now, we're getting ready to start experiencing some commercial development, retail development. And I keep telling people, as many meetings I've sat through the past couple of months, the next 18 to 24 months are going to be mind-blowing for Elgin, because there's going to be new businesses popping up on every corner, and we're not going to recognize the community. But it is my goal that we maintain that small town atmosphere, because that is what makes our community so great. So we work hard at that every day. My husband will watch me as we go shopping or we're out to eat, and I come in contact with someone and they're like, we're new to the area, or we've been here for a year, and I do not reveal who I am. I try not to, but media doesn't help with that. I always just introduce myself, Melissa, because I'm not big on the titles, but I like to listen to them, and I like to hear what they think about our community. Why did you come here? Are you happy, or do you want to stay? What would you like to see take place? And it's just interesting, growing up, I always said, man, when I graduate, I can't wait to get out of Elgin. I left for 6 months and came back. But now, when we go on vacation or whatever it may be, I'm like, man, I can't wait to get home, back to Elgin. So I love listening to people talk, and especially the ones that are moving to the area, and how much they love our community.
Well, and that again also speaks to leadership style and listening to constituents and making sure you understand kind of the landscape of what you're doing. So, Susan, yeah, how are things in the food? What is happening in the food? I would tell you that my connections with the Art Center and Dolly Patton, who's not part, but Patton, although I told them they needed to do 9 to 5 and make her the star and to see if they couldn't have some fun with that. But she speaks so highly of you and her interactions, because a cultural campus like that should be connecting as much as they can throughout the community, even though the organization is here. She extended her doing some great things.
I love Dolly. She's just was there, one of those people that was there the first week, and she's just an amazing person, and she works tirelessly.
She does work hard.
So we have a lot of great women leaders. Well, I have an unusual story. I actually grew up in the food and loved living there, and it was really busy when I was growing up, and I thought we were the redheaded stepchild. Not Elgin, but we're on the north end, the farthest, northern end of Kershaw County, right at the Chesterfield County line. So, growing up there, it was busy, but we also had the schools. I have to remember that. This is like 70s and 80s, and we were busy. I mean, every business in town was open. I literally lived in Mayberry. I mean, kids 5, 6, 7 years old. It was a whole different era, but we were gone, all over town. Town was full of kids, and every business was open. You really didn't have to leave town for anything. And I knew everybody. I didn't have to make a friend until I went to college. I didn't know how to make a friend. Your teachers were the same people who lived in your neighborhood. They were at church. They were everywhere. So, things change. The landscape changes. The demographics change. So I went away. You come back to visit your parents, but my daddy was ill, and we came back to help take care of him. I'm actually a paralegal by career, and I've been doing that for 30 years, but I quit my full-time work, and I started contracting out with different attorneys, and so that freed me up. And we did what you should do, is take care of your loved ones. Had no intentions of staying, because I've been away for a long time, but we stayed. And so, you know, we decided, my husband and I, decided if we're going to stay, we're going to try to, you know, work in the town. And we've always worked in our community. We volunteer to do the litter pickups, and we've always done different things. But, there was a seat that was vacated, and we started getting phone calls for someone to run. And we thought, well, maybe at some point in time. I had the support of my family, and we jumped in, and we won big. And I was like, wow, that was fun. You know, the fun part's getting elected, you know, it was fun. And then, you know, I got in there and we started working. I had worked in, a couple of firms that had house members, had done some work with an attorney that served as on different, for different counties. So I kind of knew how things should run and how things work. And actually, I mean, everything we do in government, I understand now why there's so many attorneys. Because everything is law. I hear my dad's voice all the time, go on to law school, don't get your paralegal certification, you know, after college. I kind of one of those regrets, I'm too old now, so I enjoy what I'm doing. But everything you do is based on some law or statute. And you have to try to find a healthy balance between implementing those things and helping people, you know, conduct their lives.
Live,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right.
because, and it's, when you come into a situation where, you know, you kind of, things are falling through the cracks, you have to kind of bring it up. And that's what we're doing in Bethune. So, I was on council for 9 months, when I won as mayor. Family started prying me, public started prying me to run for the seat, and I said, well, what the heck? I resigned my council seat, and it was winner take all, and we took it. So I was really shocked, and it's been fun. We immediately started with a revitalization effort. We brought in the municipal association. I started getting calls literally day one when I took office. The phone started ringing. All these nonprofits, all these entities, all these folks, I mean, I couldn't even meet with everybody fast enough, and it's continuing. So we have a, revitalization effort going on. Those things are in the works and planning. We've already secured some grants. Been writing my own grants, and I worked on one all morning today, a big one that I'm trying to get. You know, we're trying to work to get the town kind of pepped up. You know, it just needs a good facelift. Need to clean it up, shape it up again. We hired a landscaper, we're cutting the grass, we can see the sidewalks again, and people, it kind of helps the morale. You know?
Those little things go a long way.
Really, you wouldn't believe just having the sidewalks edged and, you know, shrubbery and trees trimmed, it really helps. And I can't say enough about Melissa Emmons and Alfred May Drakeford and even Kershaw County Council. Everyone has welcomed me with open arms. Even
I was gonna say-
Senator Stepson, yes. I met with Henry before I
yeah.
even, ran for council. I was getting ready to sign up, and I called her office and made an appointment. I said, I'm going to run. Here's what we need. I brought pictures, and I said, I'm going to win. So I gave her my laundry list before I even, you know, ran for council. She was so gracious, and she welcomed me, you know, and I was just in awe, like, oh my gosh, this is the Senate, you know, but she has a wonderful job, and she's so accessible. I mean, really, she truly is.
Well, that was a great segue. So, well, quickly, was there anything that intimidated y'all as women from running, or did you just from the get-go say, I'm doing it, and then?
No, just.
Okay, that's good.
That was all in.
Yeah.
All in,
Yeah.
4
Yeah.
years, 5 years.
Not to
And
say
what-
there wasn't some intimidation.
Yeah.
Attempts.
Right,
But-
because there are, I mean, I think this is, I mean, you probably have more statistical stuff on in terms of how many female mayors and, you know, I mean, I know we're seeing the shift, but it's.
There has been a major shift just in the past election.
Right,
For
right.
county councils, city councils, mayors, women are really doing a big time showing in this past election, this past November. There were more women probably elected, new women, you know, knocking out somebody, or somebody wasn't running in the spot, and women coming in, than there were new men coming in.
I think we're the only county
just want to say that I love serving in the state senate. I say this every time I'm before a body, but I've also really enjoyed the relationship building with other leaders of the community, and Mayor Privet and Mayor Holly and Mayor Emmons. Y'all, these are fine people, and I would be singing their praises if they weren't women. I think that's a bonus, but they're phenomenal leaders. All three of them are so committed to what they're doing. You make great examples for your communities, all of you, and you too, Kristen.
Oh, thank you.
You too, Kristen, because you've done all kinds of things in our communities as well, but in a different way, different kind of leadership. So I feel honored to be here, and thank you so much. I feel honored to be one of 5 women in the state senate out of 46 people. And yes, it's different. It is not. It's not. I mean, I've been in the private sector, I've been in the business sector, I've been in the nonprofit sector. I've worked with a lot of men and a lot of women, just a whole big balance full of people. My last job was specifically all men. All my customers, just about like 95% of them were men, because I worked in sales. And I was always looking for the women. Where are the women GMs? And where are the women CEOs? But now I'm meeting women CEOs all over the place, which is really cool. So I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity, and also to help our community pull in with these other kind of women. There is something there that is a connection. And it makes me kind of understand, don't hurt me, it makes me kind of understand why the good old boys, as people like to say, why they exist. Well, of course, they're alike. By nature, by science, we are drawn to people who are like ourselves. That is a fact. That is not, made up kind of thing. So men are drawn to men, and women are drawn to women. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but what's bad is when you're drawn a particular way and you don't listen to anybody else. That's bad. Or you demean them or disrespect them in any way. That's also bad. Either way. I don't talk down on men, and I don't expect men to talk down on women. I don't put up with it in my personal life or in the Senate or anywhere else. My colleagues know where I stand, so I don't have to deal with a lot of crazy stuff, but as they know, I'll call them out. And I think that's what we need to do these days. We can talk to anyone respectfully and directly and say just about anything. I have a Democratic colleague who loves to talk at the well. Boy, he loves to hear himself talk. He just gets up there and he goes on and on and on and on and on and on. And so I had this conversation with him, and I won't say his name. I'll call him Joe. I'll say, Joe, if you just kind of pulled it back a little bit, we might listen more to you. You would get more, and we had this whole conversation, and I didn't feel like I was being critical. I felt like I was trying to kind of help him with his communications, because he could be a much more effective leader. So to do that, I think we need to listen a lot, and y'all know how much I talk and how much I like to talk and get to know people and just hear your stories and stuff. But I have become a much better listener. I've had to, and I've had to learn who to go to for information, data, and advice. And if there's any good advice I would give you, it's something I read on Mayor Holly's Facebook page, I think, or somewhere, maybe LinkedIn. But you said, don't doubt yourself, just go for it. You said that. I'm quoting you. But I also think to be a good true leader, you have to first be a servant, and that's scripture based out of Matthew. And that is what has led me from day one. The first time I start acting, 2020 or above anybody, that's when I need to be checked. I don't ever want to be that way, because I am number one. I'm number one. I'm said, well, yes, and I explained why that happened, and that so-and-so was taking care of that now, so I didn't have to do that step, blah, blah, blah. He said, yes, but you told me you would. I said, okay, we're gonna fix this right here now. I said, you can't leave, keep that camera. Bless his heart, our Attorney General Alan Wilson gets on the phone with me, and I said, Alan, we are live, and we're on speakerphone with so-and-so, and I've got a problem, and I don't know exactly how to handle it, will you help me? Of course. I spent about half a day fixing this problem, and it's still kind of murky in some areas, but he said, you know, politicians don't do that. First of all, nobody admits their mistakes anymore. They just can't say, oops, I screwed up, because of what the turnout is going to be. The next election, everybody's worried about that. For me to not be honest and not own up to mistakes shows that I think I know it all. Number one, don't. And it also shows I'm human, like y'all. We all make mistakes on the job in our lives. All of us. It's just when we're in the public eye, it's just all out there for everybody to see. So, you know, it was no problem, you know, talking to this gentleman, and then now he's my good friend, which, by the way, you want the media to be your good friends, okay? And he said he would never, you know, show up like that again. He'll give me a heads up call. But this is the thing. So I turn around to do my typing for an email while he's there, and he was asking me questions about it. I said, well, do you want me to just print them off? He's looking at me like, what? I said, well, all of this is spoilable, all of it. Why make you wait? You're right here. I don't own this computer. I don't own these words. I'll print them for you. So are you sure? I said, yes, I'm sure. So I printed off like 20 emails, gave it to this Queens News reporter, Queen City News reporter. But that being accessible, as you mentioned, is probably my number one thing, because we have too many politicians who forget what they're there to do. Accessibility is a big, huge deal for me. So I answer I'll return messages on Facebook, Messenger. If you come into my office, and if I'm available, I'll sit down with you, I don't care who you are. If you ask me to come to an event, I come. The only thing I'm lagging in right now, because I am slammed, is my emails. I'm not getting to my emails fast enough, because y'all, I read them, and I respond. So all my ones from constituents are flagged, and they're still all flagged. So if you've written to me, by the way, and you haven't heard back from me, it's not because I haven't read it. I read everything. I just, right now, I just don't have the time to respond as much as I would like to. So, anyway, I don't know what your question was. I was just talking. I don't remember what your question was.
I just teed it up for you, Penry. That was
Sorry. Here, I get going.
No, well, and thank you so much for your leadership and your candor. I mean, that's what this type of forum is about, is to just talk honestly and openly and learn a little bit of a background on everyone. And I'd love to open the floor up for some questions, because this is about what y'all want to maybe know or ask, and we have this esteemed group up here. So somebody have a question. I know somebody has one. Yes, ma'am, in the back.
My question is for the mayor of Elgin. I go through your town so many times a week, I can't even count it. I spend more of my life going towards Columbia than towards Camden. Things are growing. What are you going to do as far as a turn lane from the bridge to the library? That's my question.
And that is a conversation,
Sewer. The place is sewer.
that's a conversation that the senator and I have had. In addition, we've had a representative from Tim Scott's office. In my office, if you've never been in town hall, my office has the best view of the town.
Yes, it
Right
does.
in front, beautiful view of the street, and it's perfect because visuals can say a whole lot more than what I can put in words. And that was the first thing I said to both of them. I think it was afternoon, right before rush hour traffic. Traffic was bumper to bumper. I said, do you see what we deal with? And it's continuing to get worse every single day. That was what I requested. I don't want 4 lanes. That will kill our downtown.
No, 3 lanes aside, we just need a turn in the middle, and it needs to be consistent all the way through.
Yes.
Because if you take that little, what is it, Pine Street, that takes you out to
White
go to the interstate, I mean, you can sit there for 10 minutes trying to make a left-hand
We
turn.
agree with you, yes.
You know?
And constant, contact, this is your question.
Oh, no.
But no, I've heard 100 people ask me, because people seem to think I have answers nowadays, I don't know why. But
I don't either.
when is there going to be a turn lane all the way through? And at first I thought they were just talking like from, you know, the old Hammy's building to the light. But no, they're talking about all the way through, because Bowen Street now, with the Bojangles there and this little treasure outlet thing over here. And so people are wanting to know what's gonna happen all the way through the town.
That has, you know, we've had several traffic studies done. The most recent was the West Water Route, and that is a recommendation that is in that traffic study. Our problem is, because of our census, because of our numbers, several years ago, instead of us being under Santee Lynch's Council of Government, which actually works with DOT controlling the purse string with your projects, we now are in the Central Midlands Council of Government, which was the worst thing that could ever have happened to us, because we're competing with Richland County, Lexington County, Newberry County. Our problem,
But we're trying to get out of it though. We're,
I'm hoping we can.
making some inroads there.
We've been told it's probably not gonna happen. We do not even have an active voting member on that board.
Oh, how do you fix that? How do you fix that, Senator?
Yeah.
Well, there are a lot of appointments for commissions and boards that, the senators do take care of. Basically, as far as appointments are concerned, just to let you know how that works, instead of removing them, unless they've done something really awful and they need removing, which can be done, but usually the term, there's a specified term, and at the end of the term, they either get reappointed and renewed or not. If they're not, then they just aren't on the thing anymore. That's when appointments can be done. And I haven't looked at the dates on that particular, but I'd be very happy to talk to you about that. That was the question with the reporter, y'all, that had to do with an appointment, or two or three. So, yeah.
Okay.
So.
So it comes back to needing,
That for a lot of people is one of the major things in Elgin is they need a turn lane from just past the bridge to the library.
And that's been our recommendation, and the problem is, we are so far down on that list with DOT, because like I said, when you do not have a voting member on that board, you don't have a voice.
Of course, you've got a champion now, because they all know me at DOT.
Yes.
I just got that traffic light taken care of with input and help from other people. I wasn't a one-man show, but I'm probably the one that pushed it over the finish line. And all the DOT people know me. I have many of them acknowledging that, yes, you know, rural areas are suffering, and bottomless as far as priorities. We've got to get out of that cog and get a different cog, because seriously, it's been like 25, 30 years since we've had anything done in this area, which is unacceptable. So you gotta have a voice, and women do this very well, and this is something I do a lot, is just being persistent, again, direct, persistent. I see DOT as partners for us. It's not us against them, they know that. I have their back if they have my back, okay? So we gotta get a lot of stuff done, so these people are gonna become very much my friends and family, as long as I'm in office, but, yeah, and I'm working on it. Yeah.
I do, I mean, the light, I mean, that was, like I said, we've been asking for that since 2015, been denied twice with 2 studies. I can't say we're getting a new bridge, so, but that project, which has been on the list for quite some time, has already been postponed two times.
Oh, come on, it takes 10 minutes extra to get to the Y.
So now they're telling us it is tentatively scheduled for December of this year.
That was what I heard last.
Yeah, I'm almost afraid to even say that.
I need to talk to you
Because it was
after
the
that.
blink of an eye that they canceled it last time. But I do see progress coming, because in addition to the new bridge, we're going to change the angle of the turn coming off of Green Hill, because that is a very unsafe turn. And Potter Park sits there. We have huge events there constantly, and when people leave that park, it's just very dangerous. So they are gonna change that angle of the turn, and with that, that meant they had to move the electrical lines from one side of Green Hill to the other, which meant they had to move them from the opposite side over to the Park side. Those lines have been moved. So when I saw that a few weeks ago, I said, okay, maybe, just maybe, it's gonna happen this time. But our, commissioner, Mr. Branham, he knows me extremely well. He'll probably be hiding from me if he's at the cup, because I
He
always
knows me
warn
too.
him. And I'm like, we keep getting postponed. I mean, it's ridiculous, because if you've ever gone under that bridge and saw the condition of it, you would kind of be hesitant to drive across it. When we're well known for the earthquakes, 80 some odd earthquakes, and the two big ones that we had in June, on the same day, within a few hours apart, my first conversation was with DOT. And in a very nice, polite way, I demanded, requested that the bridge be inspected, because I was concerned about that bridge. And I have to say, they were very good. Brian Motley, who used to be our representative here in Kershaw County, he's now in Columbia, but he's still my link to DOT. Anytime we have a project, he still, if I send an email to him, he forwards it to who it needs to get to, and that issue is resolved very quickly. So I don't know if any of you know Brian Motley or had the opportunity to ever meet him, but he is my angel with DOT whenever we have requests that need to be taken care of. But the bridge is coming, and with that angle of a turn, and Sissy, hopefully, well, I say hopefully, I pray I'm still alive to see that the turning lane extended, but when I hear 25, 35 years,
Oh, that's just ridiculous.
it is.
I mean, it
It is.
shouldn't take a lifetime to cut a lane.
I agree.
Hey, I wanted to go back on a point that the senator made about the good old boy network. And I wanna say this, the only reason that I'm here today and in a couple other venues of local politics, is that I can stand politics. And I'm retired from the military, I'm retired from the Kershaw County School District, I'm retired from Austin. And I just wanted to spend my time on the lake, but I couldn't do that. And the one reason is that when all this COVID and these other issues came up, I made a phone call and I went over to City Hall. Nobody would talk to me. So I don't have anything to do, I don't wanna have anything to do with the good old boy network. What I wanna have something or people to do with are people like yourself that are actually gonna drive the trash truck. I don't want the people, I don't want the good old boys to say, they won't even answer the phone for you. And you go over there and they won't even take you in their office.
What do you think the call is?
That's why I'm upset, and that's why I love to hear, can I say you gals, you elected officials, are talking about it. I don't know any good old boy that drove a trash truck, okay? So I commend all of you, what you're saying today, it really makes me think, or even believe and hope for tomorrow for our grandkids and so on. So thank you. I've enjoyed listening to y'all this evening, and I just know that when we went back before the last election, and I'll say this out loud, I voted for Penny because
Thank you.
I went to some of her.
I need your vote in 2014.
I went to some of her campaign stops because I was looking for some answers. And some of the answers I was looking for was, why is nobody, I know I'm nobody, but why won't somebody talk to me in the local politics? It was just very, very disappointing. And that's why I got involved in local politics, I got mad. And then I started going around and talking to everybody, and it just seemed like you were talking, Senator, that the Good Old Boys Network was a closed network, even to other boys. Because I made a phone call that didn't get returned, but I went to somebody who was in the Good Old Boys Network, he got a call back in under 5 minutes. And
Well,
then-
people answer the phone when I call now.
and
They
then
do. I mean,
that just
it's a
blew me
good-
away, and I said,
Yeah.
something's gonna change here in Kershaw County. I'm sorry, I'm going over.
It's a fantastic.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for your
unfortunately, no one did that. But people wanted them because they were under threats of losing their jobs. So I took vaccines to Chesterfield County because people wanted them. And people need to be able to get their jobs. I mean, I don't know any family that exists without a job. You know? And so Rosalie and I, we got to know each other very well through that campaign. And let me tell you what, this woman can gather a crowd with the word barbecue. She can put 200 people in front of you with the word barbecue. I have never seen anything like it in my life. This woman can gather up a crowd faster than anybody I've ever seen. She's wonderful.
For one grant that we did, PAR grant, I'm gone for a long time for our town. We never got any PAR grant money. And it was because our previous senator, he had, I think, 51% of the vote, and it would never get approved. So finally, after 13 years, we got 2 of those grants approved, which was on the skirt of the election. But it took some doing, but we got it done. And I mean, it costs a small town if you get a piece of equipment, playground equipment, and you don't have the help of a PAR grant, just paying 20% of that instead of the 100%. I mean, it's just overwhelming for a small budget.
What did you say, 290 some odd people in your community?
Well, it was 351, and then the last census, it was 266.
So you had people moving from your
Yeah,
community.
people deceased and things like that as well. But, you know, going through the process, I mean, you got to have these grants to make it, even for the larger towns as well.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I'm working on as far as rural versus urban, it is not fair, in my opinion, that rural areas are fighting for the exact same dollars as Greenville and Charleston and Columbia. It's not right, and we will never be able to compete with those dollars. A lot of my colleagues in the General Assembly, this has been talked about quite a bit, about somehow creating separate funds based on population, would have to be. And I don't think smaller towns with a certain population, it shouldn't be required to have any upfront matching. However, the state likes to see skin in the game. That's one reason why that's there, is to make sure, you know, anyway. The rural issues is something I've been working on pretty heavily, and but I don't wanna.
Just one more comment.
But Rosa
This will be
is
my last final
phenomenal.
comment.
She's so good.
With the,
So dedicated.
with the flood study that we had did in Chesterfield County, the county council paid for the flood study. We and Patrick had a road completely washed out and flooded, and that was back in 2018, which we never had no kind of help for. So I'm hoping with this study, there'll be some way to get some help. And our town does qualify for 100% help with a particular mitigation grant. So I was at the county council meeting and had 30 or 40 minutes talking with them about the situation. And, some way we got the study in place. And I think it cost the county, I believe, $500,000 for that study. But everybody gets to put in for grants. Mitigation's got powers of money.
One more question, and then let everybody make a closing remark.
So, I don't know, this might be a sidebar, but we've had these major monetary initiatives come up before the Kershaw County Council. The latest one is a ballpark. When that kind of money's being spent, rather than having a contest back and forth sparring with one side over the other, claiming to represent their constituency, why aren't these brought up in a general election, initiatives, amendments, and see what the people really want, rather than the county council making that decision?
Okay, that's one thing that we have to abide by, which is a law called home rule. And my role as a senator, I do not get involved with county monies in that way. The county has kind of dominion and sovereignty over their own spending. Now, I do have influence of hard grants, that's Parks and Recreation Department grants through the state, which I have been part of quite a bit across the whole district. Some initiative like this can be placed as a request as a proviso during the budget process. Frankly, I don't think anybody ever came to me with this information. I could have put it in as a request to the state and asked for it that way. It's a lot of money, and I'm not part of that decision making at all.
But the voters should be.
Well, that's representative government. That's why you're supposed to be, we supposedly elect people to make those kind of decisions for us. If they aren't, they get held accountable at the voting booth. That's how it's supposed to be. So if you don't agree with this ballpark measure, and as I understand, a lot of people do not, I would continue to put pressure upon Kershaw County, and those officials, your district seat person, I don't know who that might be, that person needs a lot of pressure to vote no if that's what you want them to do. They need to hear from you directly, but I can't do anything like that. I can't interfere with it.
Well, like.
I don't have anything to do with that, but I can if asked.
They were tone deaf, okay?
Say what?
With Seagull, they were tone deaf.
Well.
And the thing is things can be pushed through before the next vote. So my question is how do we change the law so that some initiative of that magnitude has to be brought to the constituents in an amendment in an election? It can't just be brought
Like a
by
referendum.
CI. Yes.
Okay. Large, I have a number of issues that I'm gonna be putting forth in the next year or so that are referendum based as opposed to changing law, because my body is just not ready to do some really serious big changes. And a lot of my colleagues and I and constituents agree, the referendums work beautifully. The county has to do that. The county has to do that.
Are
for that particular
referendums like guidelines for y'all?
Referendum is when you put it out to the vote for the people.
Yes, no,
Yes
I
or no
understand,
about
well, I
something.
understand how the process is, but how do you view
It
referendums
depends
once
on
they're
where-
done?
There's statewide referendums, there's countywide. So if it's countywide, I have nothing to do with that really, unless I'm a resident of Kershaw County, which I am.
Who does have something?
County council,
Yeah,
So they can decide whether or not to make it a referendum.
they can for the county, surely.
My answer is that,
That's true.
things get done all the way up the ladder to the state level through resolutions. And I've been pushing this for a year and a half now, that precincts can vote on a resolution. I've provided Fleming with the format. They put what they want in the resolution. The resolution is voted on by the executive committee of the GOP. It is, with it passes, it is then passed up to the state level. It will be distributed throughout the state, other counties can vote on it. That is how the election integrity bill ended up on the state house desk. So, it's.
I just
yes,
received a
you-
resolution this past week, from the Greenville County Republican Women's Club. A resolution they made, which is basically their request, what they want to see for XYZ. But it's not, it's a request, it's not,
Yeah, but if it sparks enough.
but it's a good way to get
enough attention.
the information up the chain, that's what we're talking about, right? To the people who made the decisions. Well, it's either gonna be your county council or it's gonna be your state legislature. The budget, I'm still learning how to do it, it is tricky. This past budget, I put in for several provisos, which is just extra money. That if you have there's a pot of money the state has that is divvied up among requests from the legislature. I personally don't like provisos. I would much rather go through the departments, the state departments, but as long as we have this in place, I'll be first in line. If I'd known about this, anybody asked me, because I'm not going around to county council and say, what do you need, what do you need? No, y'all need to come to me. That's how it works. But for example, a proviso I requested for Kershaw County involved making the Fine Arts Center of Kershaw County accessible, handicap accessible. They wanted a lot of other stuff. I'm not paying for, I'm not gonna ask for a dance studio, state funds. But accessibility and bringing building up to code, I think that's a reasonable request, and it wasn't a lot. But when you're talking about big projects like that, absolutely can go through the state budget, but nobody asked me.
Well, I would like the citizens we've got a
tennis center there that's fully funded.
And no one but
See,
the
and that's
city
what-
council had anything to do with it.
Correct. And my husband plays tennis, God love him, but it was a boondoggle. And it is a boondoggle.
Yeah.
And it happened because Julian Burns likes to play tennis.
Well, he's not here anymore.
Well, that
There's-
affected me, thought he was gonna be able
It's
to
a
bring
woman,
another.
and the first female chairman,
The tennis
or,
center is.
All right, one more from the back, and then we're gonna wrap up, and then
Yes, we
you can
are.
sit around, and if you guys are able to answer a few more questions, we can do that one-on-one.
Greg?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so mine's for the senator, and this is for the public schools. What is Senate and the state's gonna do for the public schools for safety? Because.
For what?
For safety, because they just had another shooting,
Nashville.
somewhere up in Tennessee. I think it was.
Nashville.
Nashville.
It was in Nashville.
7 people died.
Yeah. it was
Presbyterian
private.
private school.
And I mean, because when you go to a classroom and to where the teachers are, there is no safety precaution there. There's not, there should be some kind of format. Yeah, where they could kind of go or have somewhere to go. But when the teachers are in that classroom, there's just a door. That's all they have, the door. They don't really have an escape or a route. Now, I know that the process has been working on it through education, but as far as as we are seeing more shootings.
I was in a,
On grounds, like we had Manual 9, now we got Tennessee, and then, there's been Sandy Hook, there's been a lot of shootings. So my question is, what is the state gonna do for the teachers that sit in that classroom for safety from these children or these people that are not supposed to be coming on campus, but are finding their way on campus, where it be private or public?
Well, I'll be brief. First of all, a 28-year-old woman went through a side door. It was I think a Presbyterian private school. It was an elementary school. It was high. School shootings are very rare in elementary schools. Most elementary schools do not have SROs. And in Kershaw County, we have SROs at every single middle school and high school. Do we not? And elementary
it was a
schools.
private school.
So number
It was
one,
a private school.
at least our public school teachers are covered by measures that are already set in place, policies set in place for that individual building, the individual staffing of that school, with an armed person who is a deterrent. That has been proven. Even just a parked police car in front of an entrance is a deterrent for people thinking about doing that kind of thing. That woman shot 3 children and 3 staff, and she got shot in the end. That happened this morning about 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for Nashville, and I thank God it didn't happen here. Safety is really the number one thing, safety and security for our nation and our state. And that is all inclusive with our teachers. And teachers have enough to deal with without feeling unsafe. So there's been a lot of discussion about how to do that, legislating certain things. I'm trying to be brief, but your concern is absolutely valid, and I share it, and I don't ever want to see anything like that happen anywhere near us. But we have to have in place deterrence, visual deterrence, and every school needs to have a plan. And I don't think that school had any kind of plan. They did call 911, and there was an officer on the scene fairly quickly. But when you're talking about active shooter, everything gets done in about 3 minutes. So, need somebody there on campus who has had specific active shooter training.
All right, I can tell you, having
I'm sorry,
Ben,
I'm trying to be brief.
I read at the elementary schools, and my reading is just at one school, Pine Tree Elementary. Been reading there for several years. My grandsons are pulling out of it, that's why I'm not doing it anymore. But before COVID, I did an alarm where they sent all the kids to the bathroom, the little itty bitty bathroom. I was in the 2nd grade. It was a fire drill. They sent us all to the bathroom, the year after COVID, because they'd gotten some COVID money, they'd bought some stuff. I'm literally in the same classroom. Active shooter. The first thing that happens is the bathroom door is open. The second thing that happens is there's this jamming thing that they put under the door so the door can't be opened. And I believe that is in most Kershaw County schools. I know it was at Pine Tree Elementary because I was there. I watched it happen. The element was put in the door so that the door will not swing open. So we do have that happening now. Now, of course, that's not a complete deterrent because they can still get in and they can still do damage, but it is a safety valve.
If they can stop someone for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But
and
those
a lot of-
mitigating things are really important, and what I've also heard is, the same measures aren't necessarily gonna be able to be done for high school as in 5K. They just, like, their door locking mechanisms and that kind of thing, that on a grade school level, that these children can't work with staff as well as older children. We do have required drills in our state. We have required active shooter drills. So we're doing that, and so the teachers and children, unfortunately, won't freeze, because that's the last thing we want people to do. We don't want anybody
Yes,
to freeze. That's the worst thing to do in a situation like
I
that.
asked the teacher, I said, how many times a year do you do this? Because they do 2 different types of drills. They do an active shooter drill, which is where they all stay in the room. The door is made where it cannot be pushed open, and they wait. We waited in this bathroom. 20 children, all needing deodorant, and 3 adults. Believe me, I wanted to go to lunch, but I had to stay there. It took an hour and a half.
See, and I was involved, sir?
But they also do the old-fashioned fire drills where they send them out towards the perimeters of the schools. So they're sent through 2 different types of, I don't know, what am I supposed to call it? Drills, yes,
I
drills.
work at Blaney Elementary, and we are constantly going through drills, and believe it or not, we have procedures in place, they're plastered, on all of our doorways, and we have badges that we wear now to gain access to the building. On the back of our badges are those procedures, and just a couple of weeks ago, we had a drive-by shooting in a neighborhood that's directly next to us. We had a group of kids out on the playground, they heard the shots fired, they notified the front office, those procedures went into place, we brought everybody in, and, we were very fortunate. We have an SRO, that's on site. This is the first year, I believe, Kershaw County has had an SRO in every school in the district. And then, of course, we're in a municipality, so not only do we have the protection of the SRO in Kershaw County, we also have the town of Elgin. So, we live next to, we call it Dixonville, and it's very well known for, drugs, gang activity, shootings, and so we constantly have to keep our eyes and ears open because our playground backs up to this neighborhood. So, and the thing that we found out that particular day, as soon as the teacher heard the shots fired, notified the office, we brought the kids in, we went into our procedure and protocol, and when the officers were on scene, the bullets that were being shot, a home and a vehicle were shot at, traveled in the direction of our playground. So, procedures are great, protocols are great, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm a firm believer in the power of prayer, and I just, I step foot on that campus every morning at 6 o'clock, I'm the first one there, and I generally will say a prayer before I get out, because it's dark. I go in and open up the building for our staff, and, but, like I said, God has protected us for quite some time. We've never had any bad situations. Being directly next to a neighborhood, that there's constant activity, and we've been very fortunate. But that they do have procedures in place, and we drill quite often. We drill monthly. Fire drills, and of course, intruder drills are done like every 2 to 3 months, and then we do the active shooter drills.
All right, yes, last question.
Just real quick. Okay, Elgin, how far are you from the Kershaw County line on the west
County?
From the Kershaw County line on the west, on the east side. Is Mackey and Chesterfield or Kershaw?
Yeah, we're only about a mile from the Chesterfield County line.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Yeah, these two ladies are only 7 miles apart.
what's that?
These two ladies are only 7 miles apart.
Okay, so you're 1 mile
We're a little further, no,
No,
Mackey.
what Mackey's in between? Okay, they're 14 miles apart, excuse me.
But you're in Chesterfield, and you're, how far are you from, the Kershaw County line?
15 miles or so.
Well, it's
How far are you
Mackey.
from Mackey?
You're 15 from Mackey, because our little,
17 miles.
and it's 7 miles between Bethune and Mackey.
Yeah.
So we're the
Okay, so
bridge,
you're decent.
the Lynch's River Bridge.
I know
Going
what that is.
more towards Mackey, that's where the Chesterfield County and Kershaw
That's the
County.
line, yeah.
So from where we're sitting right now, I'm just pointing this out, we're 14 miles from Cassett, 20 and a half miles from Bethune, and then Bethune is 1 mile from the county line.
Yeah, Chesterfield, yeah, we've always had well, I actually have a very good relationship with Chesterfield County. My father was a retired deputy from Chesterfield County Sheriff's Office, and actually just met the new chief of police for Mackey, who used to work with Chesterfield County Sheriff's Office, so I think it's really good, and we dissolved our police department when I came on, and we contracted with Kershaw County Sheriff's Office, and I have to say, I have to give props to Sheriff Bone and all the deputies, they're doing an awesome job in Bethune. Word of warning, if you do anything criminal or if you're speeding, you better leave town, because they are cleaning it up.
It's a short trip.
Yeah, the citizens love, seeing the law enforcement. There were 2 things that people told me, I didn't tell anybody anything I wanted to do when I ran for mayor. 2 things, number 1 was bring law enforcement back, because we had a poorly operating police department. And if it's not working, plus with the new
You
Senate,
just have 1 cop and then you have none.
yeah, right, really none. So, I just felt like, I was watching the police reform bill being debated, and I'm from a law enforcement family as well. So, it's gonna be very, very difficult for small departments to operate with all the scrutiny and the additional training that are required now. So, we contracted with Kershaw County Sheriff's Office. I know there was a question just breached at county council about who's paying, okay? We have, in our contract, Sheriff Bone and I allotted $70,000 for, pay. I pay the sheriff's office monthly. Anything after that, the deputies in the agreement is $35 per hour. Now, I will let you know that the town of Bethune does not collect any city taxes. 100% of our tax revenue goes to Kershaw County. So, to me, for those extra guys that are in town, our citizens are getting their tax pay, because they're patrolling, and they are stopping speeders, they're getting drugs off the street, they found a few people they were looking for over warrants, they've gotten some fugitives, and the citizens love the deputies.
Wonderful.
They're in our neighborhoods. Had one have to give props to a Kershaw County deputy. He worked with us all day Saturday picking up trash. We participated in the countywide litter pickup. These guys are awesome. They are wonderful, doing a fantastic job in our town, and it's working for us.
Senator Gustafson, you have something for the ladies?
Yes, we've run really long, and I did not want to rush through this part, because this is the fun part for me. Y'all didn't know I was doing this, but I had a special senatorial, not resolution, but statement, honoring these mayors. And this is what it says. I will read Mayor Emmons. It says, on the motion of Senator Henry Gustafson to recognize and honor Mayor Melissa Emmons of Elgin, South Carolina, in honor of 2023 Women's History Month. History, culture, and society benefits from the contributions of American women. Each has incredible stories and talents. Ladies in leadership in Kershaw County, South Carolina are recognized and honored today. Thank you so much. I have one for Mayor Rosa Lee Millsaps-Privet. She wanted the whole name on there, and it's on there.
including me in the discussion. I'll leave with a final quote, and then y'all can call for an adjournment. When a woman rises up in glory, her energy is magnetic and her sense of possibility contagious. So women, continue to lead, and let's continue to support one another.
The Lady Leaders of US 1. Okay, we're going to do that in a few minutes. We've got a couple of things to go over.
Oh my gosh, y'all,
Right.
8:20, when y'all did block up? When?
Oh, they were wonderful. That turned out so much better than I ever dreamed. Okay. All right, April 15th. This guy. Who's coming? Who's not? Because he needs to know tomorrow, and if I don't have 20 tickets sold, he is not coming. That gives me 2. That gives me 6. All right.
2 more.
We're still nowhere near 20. All right. I'm going to give everybody 24 hours to make phone calls and to get back with me. I will repost this evening on our Facebook page so you can say, go look at the Facebook page. Or you can take this and shove it in their face. I don't care. But tomorrow evening, I need to know who is coming and who is not. Because Wednesday morning, this guy is told yes or no. And the yes or no is 20 tickets or more. Right now, I got 2 tickets sold. It's mine and Michael's.
How much a ticket?
They're $70 a head. We are making half of that. Okay? It's seed money for our gingerbread house contest. You know, you can't have a contest if you don't have a little bit of money to give away.
But they get a book.
They do. It's $70 and you get the book. He wants 35 of the 70 and you get the book with his jokes. And he has 4 or 5 books. I've read a couple of inserts from each one of them. They are all very funny. Now, I'll be honest with you, when you look at him on YouTube, you got to give the man 3 minutes because it takes him a minute to get funny. It does. It takes him a minute to get funny. But he's funny. He's really funny. He puts Christians on the bus, and then he goes ahead and backs it up with Jews. You know? So he's all over the place. He's a Jewish conservative. Yes, no. And I have to say, he backs the bus up over the conservatives, the Christian conservatives, and then he backs the bus back up over top of it with the Jewish remarks on it. It's absolutely hilarious what he does. But I will take till tomorrow night, because I'm talking to him Wednesday morning. So if you're buying tickets, you've got to put something in my email that lets me know. Because if I don't have 20 tickets on Wednesday morning, I'm saying, Eric, I'm truly sorry. It don't matter what you got right now. I want to know what you got tomorrow night. Okay? All right. I hate to threat people like that, but you know, that's what y'all voted me to do. Okay, now, May 20th. As of right now, if everybody says okay, right now, we will be at Gallery 537, and we will have the band 10 Cent Rich. Yeah, I know, 10 Cent Rich. For $5 a head, coming through the door, we're going to do $20 a head coming through the door. We're going to give 5 Cent Rich $5 of that. We're going to keep $15 of it, and we're going to turn this into our birthday party. Are we okay with this idea? Anybody got a problem with turning Saturday the 20th into our birthday party? No problem, all right? Who's willing to help me put this all together? I need some hands raised.
Wait, you're not May 20th?
Yes, it will be
You're
May.
talking about for 53rd birthday?
Well, if we want to do that,
That
well,
is a birthday party.
I wanted a cake. Will you put a cupcake on the side of it for her?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm available in May.
You're available in May. Okay. So we'll do a birthday party at 5:37. get some tacos, and we'll bring some sangria and some salsa. We'll have a little contest, see who makes the best sangria, who makes the best salsa amongst us, okay? Does this sound good? You can't drink, so you don't get a vote. Is everybody okay with this? Does this sound like a good birthday party? You're willing to help bring some people in? Okay, because we need seed money to do our gingerbread house contest later in December. Okay. Okay, I'm done with that. Okay, ladies. There's a reason why I picked the prayer that I picked today. Because it was a prayer about choosing the right path. And that's what's happening in Kershaw County right now, in just a couple of weeks. Next month, the Kershaw County Republicans will vote on new leadership at our county convention. There are a group of radicals trying to infest the entire state, county by county, and Kershaw County has found itself under its target. Not just hoping, not just dreaming, but targeting. If these people are allowed to do what they want, they will literally, from within the Republican Party, destroy the South Carolina Republican Party. Now, who are these obstructionists? They're led by one man. His name is Jeff Davis. He currently lives in Greenville, South Carolina. The group is called MySCGOP. They've got a few other names nowadays. We'll get into that in a little bit. Now, Mr. Davis, he was an attorney formerly of Atlanta, Georgia. He worked with charter schools to locate students for available scholarship programs in charter schools. Now, I'm sorry, but that sounds like an extraordinarily lovely thing to do. As a Republican, I want school choice. I want people to be able to get to charter schools. It sounds like a noble endeavor, does it not? Well, he was eventually exposed for receiving kickbacks from the charter schools. Talk about turning a good thing into bad. He was eventually convicted of these charter school schemes. Once he was convicted in Atlanta, Georgia, he packed up his shop and he moved it across the state line to Greenville, South Carolina. And then he started doing the same practices that got him in trouble in Georgia with charter schools. His actions became noticed by the General Assembly, and they created a law and made it illegal for what he was doing. Many people who actually know what they're talking about say that this is the first time and the only time that in the state of South Carolina the General Assembly has taken action against one person's actions. I think that says a lot. I really do. So, not once, but twice, Mr. Davis lost a very lucrative form of income. Now, I personally, and it's my personal belief, I'm not saying it for anybody else, just me. I personally believe that the audacious Mr. Davis decided at this point in time that he needed retribution and revenge, and he decided that it needed to be any Republican that was against what he wanted to do. Jeff continued to attract others in his designs to eliminate Republicans from office. Alliances were formed and my SCGOP was born. They seem to be listen to me, they seem to be an intolerant, far-right, liberal acting Republicans. Now I know you're going, liberal acting Republicans, how do you get there? It's their actions, it's their tactics that make them liberal-minded. They want the same thing out of government we do. They want the same thing for society that we do. It's just their actions are not conservative. Their actions are liberal. Their actions are progressive. Some have even called them socialist. I'm not going quite that far.
Don't say that in the meeting, Sissy. They are not socialists.
No, they're not
They
socialist.
claim to be a Republican group that
They
is not
do.
associated with the South Carolina Republican Party. I just want to make this very clear.
Yes,
because
they
there's
are
a lot
not
of-
socialist. No, I'm not saying that. There are those out there in the world of South Carolina that say that about them. Everybody gets to have their own opinion. Okay? That's not my opinion. I don't see socialism in them. But I do see the Democrat playbook. They intimidate. They shame. They litigate. More than 250 litigations have occurred in the last several years, and most of them are not elected officials. Okay? Yeah, DeMint's been done, Weaver's been charged, Drew McKenzie's been charged, but most of them are your average, everyday Republicans that just don't agree with them. Literally. They're using me. They just don't agree with them. And if you don't agree with them, you need to be counseled.
Yep.
They threaten, they harass, and they lie. Furthermore, they manipulate rules and information to suit their own desires. They omit major points of conversations to suit their own purposes. You don't need to know the whole truth. Why should you know the whole truth? Are you worthy of it? Not in their opinion. They are deliberately decisive, divisive, and argumentative in our county meetings. We have all watched and had to endure a multitude of questions on whether this should be in this meeting's minutes or this should be in the meeting's minutes. Why isn't this in the meeting's minutes? I'm sorry, a meeting's minutes are not a trial transcript. But they want it to be. They want it to be a transcript because they want to be able to nitpick it apart. Unfortunately, they actually will lie to you. Now, I really do not understand an organization that you need to lie for. I have asked more than 6 people who I have already done my research, and I already know that they're part of my SCGOP. Now, my SCGOP does not have an application to fill out. It does not have an oath. It is a frame of mind. It is using their propaganda. It is using their words. That's what being a member is. Just as being a member of regular GOP. You know, we don't swear. We didn't fill out an application. But that doesn't mean that we're not part of South Carolina GOP. Does it not? Okay? Now, unfortunately, the lady who is running for the Kershaw County Republican chair has lied to me. I don't like telling you that she's lied to me because I actually like the woman. But when I asked her if she was a member, after I'd done all my research and I already knew the answer, she told me no, she wasn't. And I said, but what about when you had Musselwhite with you? You know, taking him all around the county. Oh, well, that was just because he was a member of my family. The lady who's running for first vice chair was given the same question. Are you a member of my SCGOP? I already knew the answer. She declined to be honest with me. She said, no. She even batted her eyelashes at me and said, what is my SCGOP? I'm sorry, it was literally everything I could do to keep a straight face. But I did. I don't like being lied to. I've not trusted either one of them beyond what they do for their profession. So, how on earth did simple little old Kershaw County become a target of my SCGOP? Very simply. We had a primary last year, remember? June. We had Governor McMaster's running against Musselwhite. Trucker Bob. Trucker Bob. Oh, sounded really good. Yeah. Trucker Bob. Trucker Bob got 16% of the vote. Our governor.
Just repeat that.
Trucker Bob got 16% of the vote.
16.
16% of the vote. Governor McMaster's got 84. Now, being beat by a landslide was not good enough for Mr. Musselwhite. He needed to make it worse. So he decided that he would complain. He complained about the oaths that were taken. The oaths that had absolutely nothing to do with your vote. Some of these oaths taken at the polling place by the polling workers were not filed correctly. They used a small error to try and disenfranchise all of our votes. Well, the South Carolina Republican Party called an EC meeting in June, just 2 weeks after the election, and they let Mr. Musselwhite and his attorneys give their complaint. Teddy, out of Fairfield County, who has been given all kinds of hell. This man literally escaped a communist regime and is now being told that he's no better than the communist he left because he did not agree with Musselwhite. Okay? Amanda Uten, our Kershaw County Republican chair, simply asked, how many counties are there where these oaths are not done properly? They had not done their research. They did not have answers. So they were declined. Their complaints were dismissed. Everybody goes home. Lo and behold, Mr. Musselwhite gets on all kinds of Zoom calls and he demands Amanda's removal. He demands Tibby's removal out of Fairfield County. He demands other people's removal. Now, this is part of what I call the Musselwhite shuffle. And the shuffle is about getting rid of the Kershaw County chairman. The meeting that I just said took place at the end of June. In August, a little more than 30 days later, the secretary of the Kershaw County Republican Party shows up wanting the position of secretary. The MySCP GOP people in the audience badger, literally badger, Amanda into taking a vote. She literally tells us she doesn't like the idea of doing this. But she takes it because there's so much conflict coming off the floor. And we now have a secretary that is there solely because Musselwhite needs to get rid of Amanda. Okay? Within 2 months of her getting her position as secretary, she has not one, but 2 meetings designed to get rid of or damage Amanda in her position. People leave the War Museum meeting from the ECs wondering, what is this Autumn World up to? Literally 3
ask the same question. What is this Autumn girl up to? She's brand new to us. She's brand new to us, and all of a sudden she's causing commotions. Sorry, I've lost my place.
Sissy, can I say something while you get yourself together just a moment? I just wanna let y'all know, that this may seem like she's dragging on, but, this group has really been disruptive, and they're very unkind and unprofessional in their ways. When Sissy went to make this statement, she actually met with the, state leaders of the GOP, and they actually consulted with lawyers to make sure she's covered by what she's saying here tonight. Because we certainly don't want to say anything untrue, and she's not saying anything untrue. These are facts as they've been revealed to her in various circumstances and places and people. So it's just important as we enter our Kershaw County GOP convention next month that we are aware of all of our candidates, and they aren't all good candidates, frankly. So our chairman has chosen to tell us a little about them. That's why she's doing that tonight. This probably won't be having this conversation. I don't know, but did you have your place? Okay, that's all I wanted to say.
Glasses in. The objective of my NCGOP has been very clear. Amanda Uten must go, or her power relinquished to nothing. There really has not been anything but disruptive behavior in our meetings since we elected Autumn, our secretary. We probably should have vetted it a little better than we did, but like I say, there were a lot of voices there that night that demanded, since someone was there that wanted the job, that we elect somebody that wanted the job. And I believe it was Mr. Webb who stood up under all of the commotion and said, I will. He lost by a vote or two, and we would all be better off if he'd won, but we have Autumn now.
I'm not
And Autumn now, having told me that the only reason she is with my NCGOP is because Musselwhite is kin. Musselwhite's family. That's why she showed up. That is the only reason she showed up. If you look at this lady's Facebook page, before you get to the primary, you didn't know what country she lived in. You didn't know that she cared about children's education. You didn't know that she cared about anything with our country. It was a Facebook page full of herself and her children. Most of ours are.
What's your last name? What's the full name?
Dunlap. Autumn Dunlap. And I hate to say it, but she has caused nothing but problems since she has been here. And she is a nice lady. Please do not get me wrong. She is a nice lady. She truly is. But the group that she represents is not. If we elect these people, we will eventually be disenfranchised from Columbia and from the RNC. If these people are elected, our leaders will become Jeff Davis, Zoe Warren, who doesn't want the party to grow. Does he not? He doesn't want the party to grow because we don't need rhinos. I'm sorry, we need rhinos. Rhinos vote what we all want 90% of the time. But according to my NCGOP, we are all rhinos.
60% of Kershaw County voted for Donald Trump. 16% voted for Harrison Musselwhite.
Well, that should tell you some sort of number right there. Okay, yeah. All right. So, I personally like Autumn Dunlap, and I personally like
Brando both have lied to me on numerous occasions. I like them. They're nice individuals. We all have the same values. It's just the way they want to get to the values. I'm sorry. You cannot get to a conservative point by a liberal access. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And that's what we have. We have a group of people who are liberal-minded. They don't mind lying to you. They don't mind harassing you. They don't mind litigating you to death. They don't mind harassing you or anything else, as long as they get their way. Remember in January how I told you how we had unity? We just didn't recognize it as unity because it wasn't the oneness of the left. That's what you've got to have to be MySC GOP. You've got to be at one with them. And if you are not at one with them, you are a rhino. I'm not a rhino. You're not a rhino, are you?
No.
Are you a rhino? Are you a rhino?
Hell no.
Are you?
No.
None of us in this room are rhinos. But yet, there's a group of people out there who think we are.
How can they know what we are? They never discuss policy.
I'm into that.
That's right.
Fairway to highway.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have said all I have to say. I would like a motion to adjourn this meeting. Brenda Webb makes the motion. Can I get a second?
Come on. Get a second. I'll do a second.
Sandy has a second. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This meeting is now adjourned.